everybody? Welcome to Biockickz 3 Raw TV. As you can see from the title above, I am more black than I thought I was. Like, what the fuck, Jerry? I caught a lot of flack when I put up the video about my Ancestry DNA and Ancestry.com DNA results, which actually had a 2% with a little arrow, and I said it's about 1%. It was like less than 2%. So it was a little more than 1%, but not quite 2, or it's like the little arrow going one way means you're above, the other way means you're below. So it's roughly 2% black in my genetics. And something interesting is my mom went out, she left here, so I got the results while she was visiting, right? So I tell her, I said, hey, we had Italian, we had Greek, we had, Middle Eastern, we had, Portuguese, Hawaiian, all these different things were in there that, some of them we didn't know, some of them we did. And my mom was like, I wonder where this one came from or that one came from. The Italian, like, she goes, I don't know. I don't have any Italian relatives or anything like that. So she decides to go from Virginia to visit my uncle, who's my dad's last living relative, his older brother, my Uncle Mike. So she gets out there to my Uncle Mike's, and she's visiting and stuff. And my Auntie Barbara, who is my Uncle Mike's wife, she's a hot shit too. She's so funny. She's full of spunk. She's amazing. Her and my mom were talking, and she says, yeah, look, I got these tests back, JW. That's what my family calls me, JW. My dad was Jerry, I'm JW, even though both of our names are Jerry. And just yelling Jerry, we would both walk in the room. So JW is what my family calls me. And she said, JW, get the DNA test results back, and, there's 2% black. Well, he has 2% black. And my Auntie Barbara goes, yeah, of course. And my mom was like, what? What do you mean? She goes, yeah, there's black blood in the family. She knew, right? Now, here's something interesting. Auntie Barbara is kind of the one who's like the family tree expert in our family. She doesn't study it, but she's like all caught up on everything that's going on with our entire family for since it was came here, right? So she said, yeah, Jerry, meaning my father's great-grandmother. So that's my great-great-grandmother was black. And my mom was like, what? She said, yeah, everybody knew that. Well, I didn't know, my mom didn't know, my dad didn't know. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, my Uncle Mike, I don't know. But my Auntie Barbara actually spent a lot of time with my grandmother, who was my father's mother, who I never really knew very much. I only met her a couple times. But she lived in Texas, and then I think she actually lived with my Auntie Barbara and Uncle Mike for a while before she passed away. So she spent a lot of time with us. So she got the lowdown on everything that was going on with the family tree. So she starts telling a story about my great-great-grandfather. This is fucking cool as shit. So she takes out all the documents and stuff, and she's like, yeah, Jerry's grandfather, my dad's grandfather, my great-great-grandfather killed somebody in Texas. He then fled to Oklahoma to avoid the authorities, hid out there, and got married to his wife, who was black. He then moved back to Dallas, Texas, after the statute of limitation was up. They couldn't prove anything. He moved back to Dallas, and get this, his last name, Bozeman Ward. Now, it sounds like his first name is Bozeman, last name is Ward. Bozeman Ward was his entire last name. When he moved back to Dallas, he dropped the Bozeman part and kept Ward. That's where Ward came from. It wasn't Mick Ward, it wasn't Super Ward, it was Bozeman Ward. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, are you sure it wasn't his first name? I was like, no, Bozeman Ward was his actual last name. So I'm like, what the fuck? And he had Italian. So that's where the Italian came from. So I kind of stepped back and I was like, let me get this straight. Great-great-grandpa killed a motherfucker. Well, the guy probably deserved it, right? Killed a motherfucker. Flees the fucking state so he doesn't get arrested. Moves to Oklahoma and marries a black woman. Then moves back to Dallas after a while and changes his name and lives happily ever after. That's pretty fucking badass when you think about it. Back in the day, I mean, think about it my dad was born in the 40s or 50s or 60s, whatever the fuck it was. This guy was born around the fucking turn of the century or something? Not only was it I guess maybe it was easier to run from authorities back then, obviously, but killed a motherfucker for whatever problem he had with him. He killed that motherfucker. Moved to fucking Oklahoma, married a black woman, which was unheard of back then, right? It was something you just didn't fucking do. They moved back to Dallas to fucking be like, fuck you guys, and change his name. That guy didn't give a fuck. Way to go, great-grandpa. You've killed the motherfucker that crossed him, married a black girl, and didn't give a fuck what anybody said because he loved her, and fucking lived happily ever after. That sounds like my family all the way. So I stepped back and I was like, this is pretty interesting. I mean, my dad was pale skinned, but when he get in the sun, he can fucking tan. And I mean, he can tan. which is, again, super interesting. My mom's dark skinned. She got a lot of the Portuguese, mostly Portuguese. Their maiden name was Madeiras, which is Portuguese. So that whole side of the family gets dark. But, you know, I just found it super interesting that, like, all this time, I mean, my dad didn't know. He knew my grandmother, and he knew, you know, I mean, he knew his grandmother, but he never knew much about his great-grandmother or whatever. Maybe they didn't really talk much about it because, you know, he had fucking killed somebody and left the state, so they didn't want anybody to fucking know about it. Who knows why the fuck they didn't talk about it, because by then the guy was already dead. So, I don't know, super interesting. So I think that, you know, these DNA tests are pretty cool. I don't think, again, it doesn't really change who I am. I am pretty disappointed in some of the people and some of the emails that I've gotten calling me the N-word. And, like, I'm not even sure if I can use the N-word right now. Like, if I can use it, if I'm allowed to use it because I have black in my family and I have black. I don't even know how those fucking rules work. But for now, we're just going to fucking keep it calling it the N-word. But sending me emails calling me the N-word shit, fucking, I mean, messages and shit. Like, literally they were like, I used to like you, fuck you, fucking N. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I was actually shocked. And I have some friends at the gym who are black, and we were talking about it. And they were like, that's never happened to you? I said, no, because I didn't know I was black. So, I mean, I didn't know, you know? And they're like, well, welcome to the fucking club. You know, like, apparently, you know, they've had some serious issues and not in the so distant past. And I'm sitting there going, it's interesting how, you know, at 5 p.m. you can be a white boy. And then at 6 p.m. when you get your results back, and people view you as a white boy, at 6 p.m. when you get your results back, even if you're 2% black, they treat you like you're a totally different person. Like, they're fans of yours, they love you, they like you. At 6 p.m. they fucking hate you and say stuff like they want to hang you. That's pretty fucking disappointing, guys. So that's a little story time for you guys. I haven't done one in a little while. And that's a recent story, which is pretty cool. It was like, you know, like last week. So it is what it is, guys. BioStreetTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. www.biostream.com is my blog. It's my great-great-grandpa killed somebody. That's fucking cool, and we're out.